Alright guys, what's up? So, this video is going to be mostly about talking about Becca, mainly her build, because I feel like a lot of people keep asking me what do I run on Becca now, and yeah, no. It's better if I just make a video on it, because I spent like, what was it, on Tuesday, I spent like a whole day on practice, just running different builds, seeing what kinds of damage I can dish out, and then I found several builds that were pretty cool. But yeah, let's just get right into it. So before we talk about the build, we're gonna talk about each skill, and I want to talk about it briefly because some people are a little bit, confused about what to run, especially in this new patch, which is again garbage, but whatever. So the first one is the fever. Basically, let's talk about each one individually. So rapid cooldown, dead shot, and in the zone. I don't really think rapid cooldown is necessary, especially if you know specific moments when you want to use your fever. So it's not. I don't think it's really all that. Plus, the only difference between these dead shot and in the zone is like what, 30 seconds. So it's that I don't think rapid cooldown would really work well with Becca. I mean, you can try to use it, but it's just not what I think Becca is mainly used for, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think people run rapid cooldown as much. The other one is dead shot. Now, dead shot is a very interesting fever skill because of right here where it says greatly increases crit hit rate when active. So when you pop your fever, every shot, or most shots I should say, should be critting for God knows how much damage. The main thing is that every shot is critting. Or not every, but most shots is critting. And that's what you want. So that's why I think dead shot is actually the best, if not the #1 fever skill to be used on Becca, because it's what defines Becca. She's a crit damage dealer, if that makes sense. Now I know a lot of people run in the zone, and they always run in the zone because of creatures, and trust me, I try to make this work, but I can't see in the zone working as much as I want to, especially now when shotties are mainly used for knockback. Like, you want to always pick your battles. You want to use shotty to knock them back and then just run past them. That's what you want to mainly do. Like, let's say in defense of net, as a prime example, like her zombie creatures are very hard to kill. I would definitely use in the zone against a net, but unfortunately I haven't been facing as much of nets, so now we go dead shot, and dead shot is actually better for everything like creatures, bioweapon, and core. So that's why I like running dead shot, because it increases critical hit rate. So now for her stance, and I am going to go through each one individually again. So Swift is probably the best one to run. Why? Because, let me read it. Greatly reduces time needed to enter and exit sentry stance, and increases damage dealt for 10 seconds. So you hit stance, you have a buff that increases damage for 10 seconds, you get back up, you go back into stance, you got another 10 seconds, and it's pretty much you're just mobile at this point with Swift. Now, I have been trying to make escalation work. I've tried over and over, and it's just so hard to make escalation work. And it's probably the best. It flourishes well when you have, like, what, past 6 stacks, because to my knowledge, around 6 stacks is when it's on par with Swift, and then around 10 stacks it's like crazy damage. Obviously 20 stacks is insane damage, but nobody is on escalation for that long. That's just the issue with escalation, and I just can't seem to run it well, unfortunately. So then we have impact, and unfortunately I can't see impact being ran as much. I tried running it here and there, but you lose so much damage, and as much as it's worth taking out 4 buffs from defense Annette or any creature like Daniel or sometimes Alex, sometimes Spencer, and rarely Nikolai. Again, the problem with this is you don't always go against a net, and this actually works well against a net. I can't really say that impact is worth running. I mean, it greatly increases firearm knockback, power during sentry stance, and hitting headshots remove 4 buffs. That sounds really good, but Swift is the best one, unfortunately. Second is escalation, and then third is impact, but obviously nobody's gonna be running impact as much because of Martin's new flash skill that removes 4 buffs. And then we still have Val, who can remove buffs. So now we're going to Bullseye. Now this is the one that I want to see, like, what everybody's running. So focus aim greatly increases chances of critical hit when reticle is fully focused. Increases chance of critical hits when the reticle is not yet focused. Eagle's Eye greatly increases damage dealt by critical hits. And then Silver Bullets, the first bullet fired when ammo is fully loaded will guarantee critical hit. Obviously is not affected in special weapons or during bullet storm. I still prefer, out of all these 4, I prefer Eagle's Eye. Now the reason why I prefer Eagle's Eye is obvious. Greatly increases damage dealt by critical hits. That's why. Now, if you're gonna be running an LE5 build, I think Mind's Eye would work. Focus aim, it used to work way long ago, but not anymore, unfortunately. But Mind's Eye and Eagle's Eye is probably the best bet. Like, mainly the Eagle's Eye because of the damage dealt by critical hits is increased, but greatly, pretty much. So, just my thought, my opinion, Eagle's Eye is the best one to run, followed by Mind's Eye, and I don't know about Silver Bullet. I haven't tested Silver Bullet, but I don't think I like the idea of always reloading like a shotty or something just to have that first bullet crit, especially since you lose so much damage from Eagle's Eye. So I think Eagle's Eye is the best bet if you want to actually stay on top of damage. Now for Scavenger, they actually added a new one that I prefer the most. So let's go through it. Creatures causes creatures kill with firearms to drop small amount of bullet or ammo, whatever. Precision causes headshotted enemies to drop a moderate amount of ammo. Traps causes traps destroyed by firearms to drop a small amount of ammo. And conservation lowers ammo consumed per reloaded shot by 1 for Lightning Hawk and the shotty, but defeated creatures no longer drop ammo. Now that's okay. Now here's why I run conservation. Yeah, killing creatures don't drop ammo anymore, but conservation is probably the best one to run because not only do shotguns take now 2 bullets, I believe, to reload, and Lightning Hawk is 4 instead of 5, I believe. But you have so much ammo management with this, in my opinion, and I've been running it so much, and I've noticed that I've been to the point where I've ran out of bullets as often as I normally do. Yeah, there's still the issue of, yeah, you do run out of ammo, and that's mainly because of people not picking up resources or something that's going on. But I think conservation is actually the best skill to have. If not, you can still run precision, get those headshots, get that moderate amount of ammo dropped from enemies. But out of the like the whole 4, I'm still gonna run conservation now. Precision is alright. Again, headshot if you want. And if you're not really good at headshots and you still need ammo, there's creature, but it will give you small amount of ammo. This is just, I don't even know why they even added this. Honestly. Traps, oh my god. Like the only one is Alex that does the most traps. And even then, like I rarely see Alex as much. So now for the equips. And now you're gonna notice I don't have anything here. And there's a reason why. Because I, again, spend a whole day on Tuesday coming up with so many builds, and they all rely on dog tag. So dog tag is the only one that I have, and the reason why I have dog tag, and the reason why it's so good is because, let me read it. Moderately increases the chances of landing a critical hit, and slightly increases the power of melee attacks and firearms. So that's pretty good all around, like pretty much the best to have on Becca. But now for the equips. So normally what you want to run is hollow point round 2, long barrel 2, and long barrel 1. And I know that there are a lot of people gonna be like, well, why long barrel 1? And it's for consistency. Here's why. I've noticed when I was running the whole entire day that I've been consistently just doing crits, and yeah, it's like a small percentage, but those small percentages still do make a small difference. Cave coming out of that. Now if you're not really comfortable with this build and you feel like, yo, yeah, I think with just long barrel 2 is enough, then you can obviously do Cinder's build that he came up with, which is supplements 2, which you're doing nearly 5k damage with Val Scan, and your long barrel 2 is enough to kind of stay consistent. But what I've noticed about this build is that it kind of did piss me off like 2 weeks ago, because I was so inconsistent with crit. I was doing no crit for 3 cores, and I was like, yo, I have to fever. I have to. And I'm like, what? I mean, long barrel 2 and dog tag should be enough to stay consistently critting, but I didn't crit at all in none of the cores. I was just so aggravated. So you know what? I put in long barrel 1, and yesterday I had a match against Daniel, and just the second core straight crits with no fever. That was amazing. It took 5 shots. And the reason why I like this build is because it's a balance. You know, there's such thing as doing too much damage, too much unnecessary damage, in my opinion. So this is like a more balanced, like, you could staying consistent with crit as well as doing the damage. Now if you again want to, you could take Cinder's build. I'm not saying that it's bad, it's actually really good still, because obviously moderately increases the effects buffing items you have on your character, so it increases like a little bit of your defense and offense, and you should still be okay, you know what I mean? So another one that I've tested, the one that people asked me a little bit about, which is how did you do 5k? Oops. So what I did for that build, and that build is a double-edged sword, just as a FYI. So pretty much what it is hollow point round 3, long barrel 1, and supplements 2. This build is probably a very strong build, but very inconsistent build. Why? Because you're running long barrel 1, which is slightly, and then you're relying on dog tag as well for moderately, but you don't have long barrel 2, which is the one that helps you stay somewhat consistent. Take it with a grain of salt when I say this, but in my opinion, this build is probably very strong, but very weak as well. So I mean, I've tested a few more. There's another one that I kind of wanted to do, but I haven't done it yet, which I think Bemusment did, which is he took supplements, and then he took come on, scroll down. I hate it when it does this. No, that's not what I mean to do. There we go. Hollow point round 2, long barrel 1, and then supplements 3. Now supplements 3 greatly increases the effects buffing items have on your character. Yellow buff is going to do a lot for you for Becca. Again, this is like a little bit opposite of the other build, which is more of a defensive kind of build, but the whole point is to stay consistent. So why did I change this until pretty much just hollow point round, long barrel, and another long barrel? It's for consistency. And as you saw in the video, which I will put down a link below, I'll put both of them up. Actually, the 5k one and the consistent one. But the whole point of this build is to stay consistent. I think this is my favorite build of all, actually, all around. because of the crit. I haven't really tested anything else. There is another one that people do, which they take out that and then they add FMJ for an increase in raw damage overall. So this increases like your crit and your raw damage, but I kind of don't like it. And you could run Hollow Point round 1 as well, as it increases your crit damage, but again, I don't like it. I tested it, I didn't like it. So again, this is probably my favorite build of all, and the whole point of this build is for your fever skill to have more flexibility. If you're running against Birkin, this build will help you pretty much crit as well as get near close to taking down Birkin. I've done it once, or a couple of times actually, not once, a couple of times with this build. Nemesis, you can definitely get away from not fevering. You can just take a shotty, just keep shooting his heart, and then have him staggered and just wail on his heart over and over and over. As for Birkin, as for Mr. X, well, the problem is with Mr. X is the register shots on his head doesn't really register as much with a shotty, so I use quick draw. But this build will still help you take down the Mr. X. That's why I like running this build. For those of you who want to know like a little more about it, this is why I run this build. To stay consistent with damage and crits. That's kind of probably about it. I mean, if there's any more builds that people recommend, I mean, sure, share them down below. I mean, hey, we all just come up with some things, and whether it works or it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. I mean, as long as you're comfortable running it, that's all that matters. But yeah,